In 2024, Notre Dame rode the heels of a truly elite defense to their first national championship appearance since 2012. It was a unit that ranked in the top 5 of efficiency metrics like Sagarin and F+, while also being near the tops of nearly every counting stat imaginable. And although that team lost stars and key leaders such as Xavier Watts, Jack Kaiser, Howard Cross, Riley Mills, and Benjamin Morrison, the Irish ranked 23rd in returning defensive production, thanks to Bill C. at ESPN. Notre Dame also lost their defensive coordinator, Al Golden, to the NFL when he took the same position in Cincinnati. To replace Golden, Freeman & Co. turned to former Rutgers head coach and longtime defensive coach Chris Ash, who had DC stints at Ohio State, Texas, Arkansas, and Wisconsin. The idea was that a veteran coach like Ash could take the reins of Golden's defense and just keep the good times rolling. Well, fast forward to now as we enter Week 4 of the college football season, and Notre Dame sits without a win after 2 gut-wrenching defeats versus Miami and Texas A&M, with one common denominator, the defense. The 0-2, number 24 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish, through 2 games, have one of the worst defenses among not just the power conference teams, but in all of Division I FBS college football. PFF grades rate the Irish 103rd in tackling, 113th in pass rush, and 129th in pass coverage out of 136 FBS teams. Fresh off a 488-yard performance and allowing 40-plus points in regulation for just the 4th time in the last 10 seasons, the entirety of the Notre Dame sphere is asking, what happened to this defense? Now, I'm much more of an offensive guy, but I'm going to take a crack at the several factors in play here. Starting with pass coverage, Notre Dame has featured significantly more zone coverage as a team that ran man coverage at a nearly 70% clip in 2024, a mark that was easily number 1 in the country. This has led to several breakdowns in the secondary and explosive plays, the likes of which that Notre Dame just did not allow a season ago, especially against Texas A&M. Notre Dame has gone from preventing explosive plays through the air in the 89th percentile in 2024 to the 17th percentile in 2025. Mario Craver put up 207 yards on 7 receptions, the first opponent to notch a 200-yard receiving game versus Notre Dame since Selwyn Lyman of Purdue put up 238 yards in Notre Dame's 35-21 win over the Boilermakers in 2006. But there is some hope for the secondary, as after a brutal 28-point first half, which featured Marcel Reed go 7 of 9 against the Irish zone, Notre Dame only ran zone for 1 pass attempt in the second half. Notre Dame looked a lot like their former selves in the back end, holding Reed to 9 of 27 against man coverage for the entire game. But as maligned as the secondary has been, there's a part of this defense that has been much, much worse and is the true culprit for this 0-2 hole they find themselves in. Notre Dame has just 1 sack through 2 games and just 4 tackles for loss. Their havoc rate, something Notre Dame excelled in last season, which is a stat that tracks how disruptive your defense is with negative plays, Notre Dame is in the negative 1st percentile, according to Game on Paper. I'm not quite sure that's really possible. I think the website might be experiencing some issues. But the fact of the matter is, Notre Dame has been so bad at forcing negative plays that they have simply broken math. A season ago, Notre Dame ran a variety of unique pressures, sending linebackers and defensive backs from depth, which paired with elite man coverage of their secondary led to that suffocating defense we saw. Notre Dame has stuck with a standard 4-man rush, something they did on 329 dropbacks a season ago. Last year, Notre Dame got pressure 35.6% of the time with a 4-man rush. So far this year, on 40 dropbacks through 2 games, they have gotten just 3 total pressures. Even when Notre Dame has sent more than 4, there's very little deception going on. What the Irish show pre-snap is what you're going to get. It's all very telegraphed, which mitigates the effectiveness against high-level offensive lines like they've seen versus Miami and Texas A&M. Last season, Notre Dame brought unique looks with stunts and twists, blitzes from depth that we just haven't seen this year at all, or not enough. Even simulated pressure has rarely made an appearance, and last season on 145 dropbacks, Notre Dame sent 5, and their stats were staggeringly more improved. They held opponents to a 43% completion percentage, pressured them at a nearly 44% rate, and only surrendered a single touchdown. I think this is a major key for a long-term fix. Notre Dame doesn't need to bring the house every play or anything, but they have to get creative up front in some ways, whether it be more of Jalen Sneed off the edge, who got Notre Dame's only four-man pressure against Texas A&M, Kingston Valamu-Asa, who has 1.5 of Notre Dame's 4 tackles for loss on the campaign, despite not even starting. It could also see an increased role for some of Notre Dame's more explosive young players off the edge, like Junior Tui Alamaka or Bryce Young, as well as a more prominent role on the interior for Louisville transfer Jared Dawson, who has been much more noticeable in limited time than senior starter Donovan Heinisch. Because the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what coverage Notre Dame runs, or even if they run it well. Because if the quarterback can just sit back there all day long and pick them apart, which is exactly what Marcel Reed did on Saturday night, they're screwed. Reed was 14 of 25 for 315 yards when not pressured, and when Notre Dame was able to get pressure in the backfield, the Aggie quarterback was a staggering just 3 of 12 for 45 yards. That's why I think there is still a glimmer of hope for this Irish team, if just a faint one. Notre Dame's defense has been pretty good against the run, although it does raise the question of why would a team ever run the ball when they can pass so easily on the Irish. They have held opponents to an average third down distance of over 8 yards, and opponents are converting just under 35% of those third downs. Leonard Moore is still the best corner in the sport, and the willingness to move away from the zone and back to the man shows the in-game adjustments that have been a staple of Marcus Freeman's tenure at Notre Dame. After these 2 games, the Notre Dame schedule also softens up tremendously in terms of overall talent, giving the Irish 10 games to try to fix their issues while they hunt for a second consecutive playoff berth. Marcus Freeman has overseen drastic shifts in performance in season before, and even started out nearly as bad as this in his first year as the defensive coordinator in South Bend. Even a year ago, the opposite of these issues nearly ended 2024 before it got going, with an anemic offense that didn't notch a passing touchdown until Week 3 versus Miami of Ohio. The road ahead for Notre Dame sees the Irish favored in every game, but it does feature a plethora of skilled quarterbacks who will give the Irish numerous opportunities to test out their new fixes on, be it the dual threat capabilities posed by Arkansas's Talon Green or NC State's C.J. Bailey, the option of Navy's Blake Horvath, a playoff experienced quarterback in Boise's Maddox Madsen, or the slinging all over the field capabilities of Southern Cal's Jaden Maiava, Pitt's Eli Holstein, Boston College's Dylan Lonergan, or former Irish signal caller Steve Angeli, who leads the nation in passing yards at Syracuse. Maiava and Lonergan join him in that top 5 as well. If Notre Dame is able to win out and, more importantly, hear their name on the CFP selection show, they're going to have to get down, pin their ears back, and bring the heat.